Dad, Mom's been lying to us. I froze, my jacket still hanging in my hand. Ethan, my son, 11 years old, he'd just come home from school. He slammed a piece of paper on the table. Then he said it. No emotion, no hesitation. I blinked, trying to make sense of his words. What? What did you say? Mom's been lying to us, he repeated, his voice calm. Too calm. I glanced at the paper. My hand trembled as I picked it up, just one scribbled line in pencil. I saw Mom kissing Uncle Tom yesterday. My heart pounded, each beat heavy. Like a hammer in my chest, the air felt thick. I couldn't breathe. Ethan, maybe you saw wrong, I whispered, my throat dry. He stood there, those gray-blue eyes locked on mine, deep, unblinking. I didn't see wrong. A chill ran down my spine. I wanted to deny it, to scream, "No, Anna wouldn't do that. Tom would never." But then, memories hit me. Anna coming home late, a strange perfume lingering in her hair, the messages she always deleted when I walked in, Tom's offhand remarks over beers. I'd brushed it all aside. I trusted Anna. I trusted Tom. But now, it's Ethan. He's the one who just shattered that trust. Dad. Ethan spoke again. This time, his voice was lower, heavier. Don't worry, I've already started making things right for us. I froze. Making things right? Ethan? What do you mean? He didn't answer, just turned, and slowly walked upstairs. His steps? Calm. Too calm. I stood there, my hand clenched tight around the crumpled paper. The room fell silent, so quiet. I could hear the clock ticking. Tick, 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 like a countdown to the moment everything breaks apart. I took a deep breath, but the chill in my spine, it wouldn't go away. That's when I realized, maybe my son knows more than he's letting on. My name's Mark, 38, a construction engineer living in the suburbs of Boston. My life used to be simple, and I loved it. In the simplest way possible. I loved those winter nights, all of us huddled by the fireplace. Anna, my wife, would make hot cocoa, and Ethan, our 11-year-old son, would giggle as we rewatched videos of the two of us playing soccer in the yard. Back then, I used to tell myself, if life stays like this forever, maybe I'm the happiest man in the world. Anna, 36, was the woman who made my heart skip a beat the first time I saw her. We met in college. I was awkward when I asked her out for coffee. I never thought I was enough to have someone like her in my life. But somehow, Anna chose me. She's always been my rock, the one who kept the fire burning in this little family. There was a time when I was drowning in work stress. Anna held my hand and said, "You don't have to be strong out there. Here. You're the whole world to me and Ethan." And I believed her. I believed Anna loved me. And I believed this family was everything to her. Ethan, our son, was nothing like me. He was quiet, thoughtful. And those eyes, they had a way of looking straight into your soul. One of his teachers once told me, "Ethan is a special kid. He's smart, sensitive, and he notices more than most 11-year-olds do." I laughed and patted his head. "Don't overthink, buddy. You're just a kid. Go have fun." Ethan could sit for hours with an old tablet, coding little games, tinkering with things that even I, a 38-year-old engineer, found complicated. Sometimes he'd ask questions that made me stop cold. "Dad, why do adults say they love each other, but still end up hurting each other?" I didn't have an answer. I just patted his head and forced a smile. "When you're older, you'll understand." But deep down, I wasn't sure I understood either. Lately, Anna's been different. She stays late at work, saying, "There's an urgent new project at the office." And I believed her. She started wearing more makeup before leaving home, spraying on a perfume I didn't recognize. I told myself she just wanted to refresh her look, and I believed that too. One evening, I caught her smiling at her phone. When I walked into the room, she quickly turned off the screen and said, "Just a message from a coworker." I forced a smile, tried to calm my own thoughts. "You're just overthinking. Anna would never betray me." But deep in my chest, Something clawed at me, making it hard to breathe. And lately, I've noticed the way Ethan looks at his mother. It's the look of a child, but also the look of someone whose thoughts I can't begin to read. Since the day Anna started to change, this house hasn't felt the same. There was a time when dinner meant all of us gathered around the table. Ethan would share a funny story from school. Anna sat across from me, her eyes lighting up as she watched the two of us laugh together. I still remember the night Anna brought home a homemade apple pie. She placed it in front of me and said, "I know you love apple pie. Think you can grab a slice before Ethan devours the rest?" The three of us laughed so hard that evening. That happiness, it felt like it could never fade. But lately, dinner is different. All you hear now is the cold clinking of knives and forks against plates. Anna sits across from me, her eyes fixed on her phone, smiling faintly from time to time. I cleared my throat, trying to break the silence. "Do you remember what today is?" She flinched slightly, then replied quickly, "Oh, Wednesday. Why?" I forced a weak smile. "Today's our 12th wedding anniversary." She froze for a moment, then gave me a thin, awkward smile. "I'm sorry. Work's been crazy lately. Let's celebrate this weekend, okay?" I nodded, forced myself to swallow the piece of meat that felt stuck in my throat. The room was warm, but I felt cold to the bone. Anna started going out more in the evenings. She said she had to meet with clients. I almost asked, "Why does a manager need to be out so often at night?" But I stayed silent. Maybe I'd been too busy grinding away, buried in blueprints and construction sites, to notice the woman I was supposed to be holding on to. Or maybe there was something in Anna I never truly understood. Ethan, though, he seemed to notice things long before I did. He would watch his mother quietly, his gray-blue eyes reflecting something I couldn't read. One night, as Anna was about to leave, Ethan asked, "Mom, when will you have dinner at home with me and Dad again?" Anna's hands paused for a moment. Her eyes flickered slightly before she answered, "Soon, honey, I promise." Ethan nodded softly. But when Anna closed the door behind her, I saw him standing by the window, watching her car pull away. And in that moment, his eyes seemed impossibly deep. Eyes I'd never expect to see on an 11-year-old boy. That night, I stayed up late, trying to finish the design for a major project. Then, I heard soft footsteps on the stairs. Anna wasn't home yet, and Ethan usually slept like a rock. I stepped out of my room, noticing a faint light glowing from the kitchen below. There was Ethan, sitting in front of the laptop, his eyes locked on the screen so intently he didn't even notice me standing behind him. On the screen, lines of strange text scrolled past, and blurry images, a glimpse of Anna and Tom, my best friend. My heart pounded. My hands clenched into fists before I even realized it. "Ethan, what are you doing?" My voice came out rough, hoarse. He turned. His eyes caught the faint light, glinting in the dark. "I'm finding the truth, because I know adults are good at hiding it." I froze. It wasn't just the words. It was the way he said them. Calm, measured, like he'd been planning this all along. As I stepped closer, I caught sight of a tiny camera, hidden discreetly on top of the fridge. And in that instant, I realized Ethan had seen far more than I ever had. That morning, the kitchen was so quiet, I could hear the ticking of the wall clock. Anna had left early. On the table, her familiar perfume still lingered. And a small note. I had to leave for the office early to prepare for a meeting. I read it over and over. Each word felt like a thin blade, cutting deep into my chest. The coffee cup in my hand had gone cold. I stared out the window. The morning sun spilled into the kitchen, but all I felt inside was a heavy, suffocating gray. I heard footsteps on the stairs. Slow, deliberate, as if Ethan was weighing every step. "Morning, Dad." His voice was so calm it made me shiver. "Morning, buddy." I forced a smile, trying to sound as natural as possible. Ethan pulled out a chair and sat across from me. He placed a folded piece of paper on the table, pushing it toward me with his slender hands. I stared at it for a moment, before picking it up. My fingers trembled slightly. The handwriting? Slanted, familiar. Ethan's. Dad, I know Mom has been lying. Last night, I followed her car. She wasn't at work. My heart sank straight to my stomach. As I read each word, it felt like an icy hand was squeezing my chest. Ethan, what is this? Did you follow your mother? My voice cracked, hoarse and heavy. He looked up at me. Those gray-blue eyes locked on mine. No fear, no guilt, only a calmness that scared me to my core. Yes, Dad, because I needed to know the truth. I reached out and touched his small hand. It was ice cold. A chill ran all the way down my spine. Your hands are freezing. Why didn't you tell me? You're only 11, Ethan. He pulled his hand back, his eyes flickering for just a moment. Then he spoke, his voice soft, barely more than a whisper. Because I didn't want to be left behind. I don't want Mom to leave you and me. That sentence cut deeper than any knife ever could. I wanted to pull him close, to tell him everything would be okay. But my throat closed up. The words wouldn't come. Part of me wanted to yell, "You shouldn't have done this. Do you know how dangerous this is?" But another part felt nothing but shame. Shame that I, a 38-year-old man who thought working hard would be enough to protect his family, had been blind, while my son quietly carried the weight of all this pain. Ethan. What did you see? I whispered, the words tumbling out of my dry throat. Ethan paused for a moment, then said, I saw Mom turn into a restaurant, outside of town. But she wasn't alone. Who was with her? I asked, my voice trembling. Uncle Tom. That name dropped like a stone in my chest. I felt the blood in my veins freeze. My fingers clenched the paper so tightly it crumpled. Cold sweat trickled down my neck and temples. Are you sure? Are you absolutely sure it was Uncle Tom? I'm sure. I took pictures. Pictures. Yes, Dad. I mounted a camera on my bike. And... Ethan's voice lowered. His gray-blue eyes narrowed slightly. I also set up a camera inside the house. I froze. An 11-year-old boy, quietly doing all of this while I slept soundly in my warm bed. Ethan, you shouldn't have done this, I whispered, my throat tight. He tilted his head. His eyes glistened, but his tone stayed calm. Too calm. Then what about the adults, Dad? Should they lie and betray? I said nothing. Not because I didn't want to answer, but because I couldn't. Ethan stared deep into my eyes. When he spoke again, his voice dropped low, steady, like a grown man. Dad, I've already made a plan. Mom won't be able to hurt us anymore. Since the moment I heard Ethan say, I've already made a plan, I couldn't swallow another sip of coffee. What plan, Ethan? I asked, trying to keep my voice as calm as possible. Ethan didn't answer right away. He stared down into his bowl of cereal, stirring slowly, his eyes fixed on the tiny ripples in the milk as if weighing every word. I just want to protect you, Dad. His voice, steady and calm, sent a chill down my spine. That sentence left me speechless. An 11-year-old boy, a child who should be carefree and innocent, carrying the fears and burdens of an adult. Ethan, this isn't your responsibility. You're too young to understand everything. He shook his head. I understand more than you think. I've been watching Mom for weeks now. I have all the proof we need. My chest tightened. What proof? Ethan, show me. No, not yet. If you see it now, it might hurt you even more. Those words cut deeper than any blade. I felt stripped of my role as a father, watching my own son trying to shield me in a way I should have been shielding him. That evening, when Anna came home, she was all smiles, as if nothing had happened. Did you have dinner yet? I brought home some Chinese food. I looked at her, searching for something. A flicker of guilt, even the slightest sign of shame, but her face remained as bright as ever. Ethan was unusually quiet during dinner. He just stared down, pushing tofu around his bowl without taking a bite. I reached under the table and touched his hand, but he pulled back quickly, his eyes distant, almost guarded. A knot of worry grew in my chest. Worry for my son. and worry for myself. Late at night, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Anna lay beside me, her back turned, breathing steady and calm. I stared at her thin shoulders, a flood of questions crashing in my mind. Is this still the woman I fell madly in love with 15 years ago? Or has it all been a fragile mask that's finally cracking? I shifted slightly, then froze. A faint blue glow seeped out from the crack beneath Ethan's door. I crept closer. The light from his laptop illuminated his serious face. On the screen, grainy video clips. Anna and Tom sitting together in a cafe, leaning close, whispering. Another clip. Anna's hand resting gently on Tom's shoulder, her eyes so tender it made my chest ache. Ethan, where did you get these videos? My voice was rough, strained. He didn't look away from the screen. I told you, I set up cameras in the house, and I hacked into the cafe's cameras too. I froze, stunned. You? How did you even... I learned online. It was easier than I thought, Dad. His tone was cold, so cold it made my skin crawl. Ethan, you can't keep doing this. This isn't your job. You're just a kid. I gripped his shoulders, my voice trembling, almost pleading. Ethan turned to look at me. His eyes glistened, but his tone was steady, deep. Dad, if I don't do this, then who will? I don't want Mom to leave you and me. I don't want to see you fall apart because of her. Cold sweat broke out along my temples. My heart pounded so hard it felt like it might burst. Part of me wanted to shout, "You're still just a child. This is not your fight." But as I stared into his eyes, I realized this boy had been forced to grow up far too soon, in a way no child ever should. Ethan's voice softened, a whisper in the darkness. Tomorrow, it all ends. I've made sure Mom won't be able to leave this family again, no matter what it takes. I felt the blood in my veins turn to ice. And for the first time in months, I found myself praying, please, don't let my son become someone he was never meant to be. That morning the house was so quiet I could hear the ticking of the wall clock. Anna had left for work early, like she always did. But this time, the silence didn't feel peaceful. It felt heavy, suffocating, like the calm before a storm. Ethan sat at the table, flipping through a book, but his eyes, empty. I sat across from him, my throat tight, the words caught somewhere deep inside. Ethan, about last night. What are you planning to do? Tell me, son. He looked up. Those gray-blue eyes, so deep, so still, made me feel like I wasn't looking at a child, but at someone far older. Dad, I've prepared everything. Today I'll talk to Mom. I want her to choose, stay, or leave. My heart pounded in my chest. It felt like a fist was squeezing my lungs. Ethan, you can't do this. This is between your mother and me. Let us deal with it. Ethan pressed his lips together. His small shoulders trembled slightly. I've been silent long enough, Dad. I don't want to see you hurt anymore. And I don't want to lose Mom. I reached out, grabbing his little hand. It was ice cold, and for the first time, I noticed how rough and calloused his hands had become. Ethan, listen to me. You're still a child. Don't let grown-up problems hurt you like this. He stared at me. His eyes shimmered with unshed tears, but his voice was so cold, it made my skin crawl. Dad's been too kind, but I can't let Mom hurt us anymore. That sentence cut through me like a blade. It made my heart ache, and yet a shiver ran down my spine. That entire day, I couldn't focus on anything. I drove to the office, but then turned the car around, sitting in the parking lot, staring blankly ahead. Hundreds of scenarios ran through my mind, all ending badly. The worst? Ethan confronting Anna, and everything shattering in ways none of us could ever undo. I have to do something. I have to act before it's too late. By the time I got home, the sun was setting. The house was still. The faint glow from the living room lights cast eerie shadows on the walls. Ethan sat on the sofa, hugging his tablet to his chest. His eyes held something I couldn't read, something that was both childlike and terrifying. "Where's Mom?" My voice trembled. "She'll be home soon," Ethan replied flatly, eyes still glued to the screen. "Ethan, promise me this. Let me talk to Mom first, please." He stayed silent for a moment, then gave a small nod. But even then, I could feel the stubborn fire simmering beneath his calm face. Anna walked in at 7 p.m. "You're home early today?" she smiled, placing her purse on the table. I looked into her eyes, searching for something, even a flicker of guilt. But all I saw was exhaustion. "Anna, we need to talk." My voice cracked as I spoke. We sat down at the kitchen table. Ethan stayed on the sofa, but I knew he was listening. Every word. "Do you have something to tell me?" I asked, forcing my voice to stay steady. Anna blinked. "What are you talking about, Mark?" "About Tom." She froze. I saw her hand clench into a fist. "Mark, who's been telling you things?" Her voice wavered slightly. "Anna, I just want the truth." A faint creak came from the living room doorway. I turned. Ethan stood there, his small hands gripping the doorframe, his eyes glowing in the dim light. "Mom?" His voice sliced through the room, cold, unnerving. "I need the truth, too." Anna's lips trembled. "Ethan, what are you talking about?" Ethan stepped forward. His eyes shimmered with tears, but his voice dropped low, sharp as ice. "I've seen it all, Mom. Now it's time for you to choose. This family or Uncle Tom." I froze, my whole body trembling. Half of me terrified of what Anna would say, and the other half terrified of my own son. The air in the kitchen felt so heavy, every breath was like swallowing a stone. Anna stared at Ethan, her eyes darting for a moment before she forced herself to stay calm. "Ethan, what are you talking about? Who told you these things?" Ethan didn't blink. Those gray-blue eyes cut straight through her, like they could see into her soul. "No one told me, Mom. I saw it." Anna's face went pale. I placed a hand on Ethan's shoulder, trying to keep my voice steady, even as my heart raced. "Ethan, let Dad talk to Mom. Go to your room for now, okay?" He shook his head. His gaze never left Anna. "No, Dad. I've been silent long enough. This is my family, too. I have the right to know the truth." Anna stumbled back a step, her hip hitting the edge of the table. Her hands began to tremble. "Mark, tell me. What's going on? Ethan, how does he know?" "Anna." I clenched my fists so tight my knuckles ached. Each word dropped from my lips like lead. "Tell me the truth. You and Tom? Is there something between you?" Anna bit her lip, her eyes welling with tears. Silence hung in the air, so thick it felt like it might crush us. I'm sorry." Her voice cracked, barely a whisper. "It started when you were always busy. I was lonely. And Tom, he was there." The room spun. I could hear the blood pounding in my ears. My chest tightened, as though an iron hand was squeezing my lungs. My breaths came fast, shallow. My legs felt weak, ready to give out. Ethan's tiny fists clenched tight at his sides. When he spoke, his voice dropped, low, steady, like a grown man's. "I knew, Mom, but I wanted to believe you'd come back to Dad. You promised. Ethan, I'm so sorry." Anna's tears streamed down her face as she stepped closer. "Don't come near me." Ethan's scream ripped through the room. His voice cracked, his eyes blazing with a strange mix of rage and heartbreak. I flinched, then pulled him into my arms. His small body shook violently. Hot tears soaked through my shirt. "Ethan, listen to Dad. You need to calm down. This isn't your fault. You still have your mom. And me. We'll get through this. Together." Ethan choked back sobs, his tiny hands clutching my shirt as though he was afraid I'd vanish too. "I just wanted our family to be like before. But I can't stand seeing Mom betray you." Those words nearly crushed me. Half my heart shattered with sorrow for my son. The other half froze in fear. Fear of what he might do next. Anna collapsed to the floor, her hands covering her face as she sobbed. Ethan clung to me tightly. But in his tear-filled eyes, I caught a flicker of something fierce, an emotion I'd never seen in my son before. That night passed in silence. Anna slept in the guest room. Ethan locked himself in his room, and I sat alone in the dark living room, my mind spinning with 1,000 questions. I've already lost my wife. Am I about to lose my son too? How do I pull Ethan back before he turns into someone I don't recognize? In the darkness, I heard Ethan's voice call out faintly from his room. "Dad, I'm sorry. I can't take it anymore." I bolted upright. My heart pounded in my chest. Hands trembling, I grabbed the doorknob. "Ethan, open the door! Ethan!" From inside the room, there came the sound of metal clattering to the floor. "Ethan, open the door! Ethan!" I pounded my fists against the wooden door. The sound echoed down the hallway. My hands trembled so hard my knuckles felt weak. My heart thudded in my chest, each beat like it might explode. From inside, Ethan's voice broke through, choked with sobs. "Dad, I'm sorry. I can't take this anymore." I twisted the doorknob. Locked. "Ethan, listen to me. Don't do anything stupid. Please, son. Open the door." The sound of metal clattering onto the floor carried through the door. Cold, sharp, like a blade slicing straight into my chest. A horrific thought flashed across my mind. "No, no. Ethan, don't you dare. Ethan, if you don't open up, I'll break the door down," I yelled, my voice trembling, cold sweat dripping down my temples. "Dad, I just want Mom to pay. I can't forgive her." I froze. My grip on the doorknob slackened. "Pay?" Blood turned to ice in my veins. A flash of Ethan's scissors on his desk ran through my mind. My legs buckled, threatening to give out beneath me. "Ethan, listen to me." I lowered my voice, pleading. "Dad understands how much it hurts. Dad's hurting too. But this isn't the way. You don't have to carry all of this, son. Let me protect you." Silence. A suffocating silence that seemed to stretch forever. I pressed my ear to the door. Every nerve in my body pulled tight, ready to snap. Then, the sound of a lock clicking. The door creaked open. Ethan stood there. Tears streaked his face. He clutched his tablet so tightly his knuckles had turned white. At his feet, the scissors lay on the floor, its cold metallic glint catching the dim light. "Dad." I was going to send all the evidence about Mom and Tom to Grandpa. I thought, if Grandpa knew, Mom wouldn't be able to leave this family. I stared at my son, my chest splintering into pieces. Part of me felt relief. Relief that he hadn't done anything dangerous. But another part ached with a deep, twisting pain. In Ethan's eyes, I saw a storm raging. The eyes of a child forced to grow up far too soon. I sank to my knees, placing a hand on his small shoulder, my voice breaking. "Ethan, you don't have to save Dad. You just need to be a child, and let me handle the rest." Ethan looked at me. Tears clung to his lashes, but his voice, though shaky, carried a quiet resolve. "Dad, I don't want to hurt Mom, but I can't stand seeing you cry at night." He drew in a deep breath. A cold light flickered in his eyes. "Dad, if she won't come back on her own, I'll make her choose." I tightened my grip on his tiny shoulders, feeling like I was holding on to the last thread keeping my son from falling into the abyss. Ethan clutched the tablet so tightly his knuckles had turned white. His breathing came fast, as if he were swallowing waves crashing over him. In those gray-blue eyes, I no longer saw the panic of a child, only a cold, steady gaze that sent a shiver down my spine. "Dad, Mom has chosen to leave this family, but if she won't come back on her own, I'll make her." I dropped to my knees, my hands gripping his small shoulders as if holding onto a fragile thread dangling over an endless abyss. "Ethan, listen to me. We don't have to force anyone. If Mom wants to leave, that's her choice. But you—" I swallowed hard, my throat dry, each word cutting like a blade through my heart. "You can't lose yourself because of the mistakes adults make." Ethan's tear-streaked face looked straight into mine. His voice was calm, each word ringing like cold metal. "Dad, I sent the email. I sent all the proof about Mom and Tom. To Grandpa. And to Mom. My heart stopped for a beat. Blood pounded in my temples. You? You already sent it? Ethan nodded slowly. His voice trembled, but his tone was unwavering. I wrote, "If Mom doesn't come back tonight, everyone in the family will know the truth." I felt my whole body go numb. Part of me burned with anger at how far he'd gone, but another part ached with sorrow, knowing this boy had been forced to grow up inside a broken world. The phone rang suddenly, cutting through the suffocating silence. Anna's name flashed on the screen. I looked at Ethan. "Dad, answer it. This is the moment Mom has to choose." I picked up. Anna's panicked voice burst through. "Mark, where are you? Ethan, where's Ethan? I got the email. Did you teach him to do this?" My voice cracked, hoarse and heavy. "Anna, we need to talk. But please, don't blame Ethan. He's only trying to hold this family together." A sob echoed through the line. "Mark, I'm so sorry. I'll come home right now." The call ended. I sank onto the floor, my head spinning as if I'd just been spit out of a raging storm. Ethan lowered his head, his small shoulders shaking. I pulled him into my arms, holding him tight, feeling his hot tears soaking through my shirt. "Ethan, I'm proud of how brave you are. But you don't have to protect me. You just need to be a child, and let me handle the rest." He gripped me back, his voice breaking. "Dad, I know I'm just a kid, but I can't stand seeing you in pain." Outside, the sound of a car pulling up. Footsteps on the porch, heavy, hesitant. I looked at Ethan and whispered, "Are you ready?" Ethan took a deep breath. His eyes still glistened with tears, but in them, I saw a flicker of something older, something darker. "I don't know, Dad, but I'll face it, whatever it takes." Anna's footsteps echoed outside the door, slow, heavy. I squeezed Ethan's small hand gently. His little body trembled, his breathing sharp and uneven, like a soldier about to step onto a battlefield. "Ethan, remember what Dad said?" "Let me talk first," I whispered, my voice dry and cracked. Ethan nodded. But in those gray-blue eyes, I saw a storm, pain and defiance swirling together. An expression that made me ache for him, and fear him at the same time. The door opened. Anna stood there, her hair disheveled, her eyes bloodshot, dark circles carved deep beneath them. "Mark, Ethan." Her voice shook. "We need to talk." We sat at the kitchen table, the same table that once held countless dinners filled with laughter. Now, there was only silence, a heavy silence, so deep I could hear the clock ticking each second. Anna looked at Ethan. Her lips quivered, her eyes heavy with guilt. "Ethan, I'm so sorry. I can't imagine how much you've suffered, finding out about this." Ethan clenched his tiny hands on his lap, his knuckles turning white. His voice trembled, but he forced it steady. "I saw everything, Mom. I just don't understand. Why did you do it?" Anna broke down crying. "I was wrong, Ethan, but I never meant to hurt you or your dad. I was just too weak." I placed a hand on Ethan's shoulder, feeling his little body tense like a drawn bowstring, his small frame shaking in waves. "Ethan, let Dad talk to Mom. Can you go to your room for now?" He looked at me, his eyes flashing with resistance. But then they softened. His voice cracked, breaking apart. "I'm afraid, if I leave, she'll leave us again." The words stabbed deep into my heart. Anna covered her mouth with her hand, a sob bursting through her fingers, her shoulders trembling violently. I looked up, straight into the eyes of the woman who used to be my whole world. "Anna, I don't need you to explain anymore, but I need you to answer one question." I took a deep breath, my voice hoarse and raw. "Do you still want this family?" Anna sat in silence. Her hands clenched so tightly her knuckles had gone pale. In her eyes I saw a battle raging, between guilt, love, and regret. Anna drew in a deep breath. She looked up at me and Ethan, tears streaming down her weary face. "Mark, Ethan, I I don't know if I deserve either of you anymore, but I still love this family." Anna lowered her head, tears dripping onto her hands, hot enough to burn through her fragile skin. I, I still love this family, but I don't know if I have the courage to stay." Ethan's small hand gripped mine tighter, his little shoulders trembling. I bent down, placing my other hand over his, feeling the fragile warmth there, as if it could disappear at any moment. "Mom," Ethan's voice broke, a soft whisper through tears. "I don't need you to be perfect. I just need you to not leave me and Dad again." Anna raised a trembling hand to cover her mouth. The sob that escaped her lips sounded like a dam finally breaking, flooding the room already thick with pain. I drew in a deep breath, my voice steady, low but firm. "Anna, the mistakes you made, they're in the past, but the future, it's still here if you're willing to take it. I can't promise I'll forget, but I can promise I'll try. For Ethan, for this family." Anna looked up, her eyes swollen and red, her voice shaking. "Mark, I'm afraid I'll just make things worse. I'm afraid I'll hurt you both all over again." I stared into her eyes, my voice dropping even lower, heavy with confession. "The thing I fear most isn't you making another mistake. It's that Ethan will grow up never believing in love or family." The room went silent. Only Anna's ragged breathing, Ethan's shaky exhales, and the pounding of my own heart filled the air. "We're like three pieces of broken porcelain, trying to fit back together. The cracks will always be there," I thought, my chest tightening. Anna stood slowly, stepping toward Ethan. She knelt in front of him, her regret-filled eyes locking on her son's. "Ethan, I'm so sorry. I won't leave you again. If you and Dad can give me another chance, I want to try to mend this." Ethan looked at her, his tear-filled eyes glinting with a faint, fragile light. He threw himself into Anna's arms, sobbing, "Mom, I'm so scared. Scared of losing both of you." I stood there watching. Part of my heart felt stitched back together. The other part still ached with fragile, lingering fear. I stepped forward, wrapping my arms around them both. In that moment, I wasn't sure if the wounds would ever fully heal, but at least we still had each other. "If you were in my place, would you choose to forgive or let go?" That night, our little house was as quiet as ever, but it wasn't the heavy, suffocating silence of the nights before. Ethan slept soundly in his room, his small shoulders rising and falling with each breath. I stood at the doorway, watching his face, the face of a child forced to grow up far too soon. I gently pulled the blanket over him, then walked back to the living room, where Anna sat alone. She looked up at me, her eyes tired, but in them, a faint light flickered. Her voice quivered as she spoke. "I don't know what will happen to us, but I want to try, Mark. Not because I deserve it, but because Ethan deserves a family to come home to." I stayed silent. There were too many cracks for a single sentence to mend, but in that moment, I realized, love isn't perfect. Love is what remains after everything has shattered. It's the choice to heal, when letting go would be so much easier. We sat side by side on the old sofa. The distance between us was only a hand's breadth, yet it felt like an entire ocean. I heard the wind whisper softly outside the door. Then, suddenly, Anna's cold hand brushed lightly against mine. I didn't pull away. I took a deep breath, gazing up at the ceiling in the darkness. A single image filled my mind. Ethan, sleeping soundly, his tiny hands clutching the corner of his blanket, as if letting go would make his whole world disappear. And in that moment, I made myself a promise. No matter how much these cracks hurt, I'll hold this family together, with everything I have left in me. Maybe forgiveness doesn't erase the wounds. Maybe it only gives us the courage to keep moving forward, carrying the scars, and the lessons paid for in blood and tears. If you were in my place, would you choose to forgive or let go and start again?